We stole a Polaris using the most hilarious and unconventional methods, even having a fist fight in the cockpit, and honestly, this whole thing was crazy. So make sure you stick around to see just how this steal went, and please, don't judge us for all of the bodies. So as we all began looking around the verse for anything going on, one of our men on the ground at Slow Burn Depot spotted a Polaris, and so I began to fly over, as did the rest of the squad. Using the stealth of my Razor, I flew in, getting to the ground under 1 kilometer, meaning that I didn't have far to walk. And as we got in, they began to bring up the detotrine. Slowly but surely, we all made our way in, crouching, crawling, using any means to get as close as we could. But as we got underneath it, a tourist came in and seemingly looked directly at us, but we can only imagine it was looking at the Polaris, so we were all good. Now, the Polaris was off the ground and we could not reach it. However, this band of scoundrels has an interesting tactic to do just that. We began knocking each other out and tractoring them up onto the ramp so you would wake up on the opposite side of the detotrine. And once they did that to me, it turned out that you're not allowed to hold your gun, otherwise you will drop it. So I was now gunless on their ship. I stayed in the middle as we had to walk around and hope that nothing went wrong and they didn't come onto our side, and luckily we got lucky for now. We decided though to try and sneak into the elevator and get up to the captain's quarters. But in doing so, we were spotted and our guys had to take him out. And although it wouldn't let me pick up his gun, for now it seemed like it was only him on board. So we all sprinted to get up as fast as we could. With me having no weapon for now, I got into the pilot's seat, hoping to fly us out of there safely and securely. But in doing so, one of them managed to sneak out of the medbay before they got there, and began punching me until I was knocked out. So all that was left for me to do is to punch him back as he set the self-destruct and flew us straight into the ground, which luckily did not blow us up, somehow. Soon after, the fire squad came in and blew this man out of the chair. As they began to fly away and try and get as far as they could, as we now put the firing squad outside of the medbay, making sure that they couldn't get out, whilst also pleading that they stay in there because we didn't want to have to kill them over and over again. With the ship having issues and not being able to turn at all, only going up, down, back or forward, we knew we wouldn't be able to get out of there. So all we needed to do was get to space as one of our other members got into their C2 and began heading directly towards us to secure this steal. Eventually, we found a gun that I could use, so I stood outside and helped keep the guys that kept running out at bay. To which eventually, they finally gave up, and we could stop shooting them for now as they lay in bed. We waited though for what seemed like a lifetime, but as soon as the C2 arrived to us, I ran down to help unload. We threw the detotrine boxes out into space and put them back onto the C2. And whilst looking at it all, it seemed we had just over 300 SCU here, which is not a bad steal. And once it was all on board and everybody was out of the Polaris, we activated the self-destruct. As the last of our team ran out into atmosphere and made it back to the ship safe and sound. But I have to say, this was such a nice view of the explosion, and it just felt like all the hard work going up towards this had paid off. Eventually though, we did make it back to checkmate and unscathed. So as we unloaded the C2 and loaded it onto the freight elevator, we finally secured our steal, and this was my biggest one yet. Doing stuff like this really has me on the edge of my seat, and I can't wait to try and do more stuff like this. But if you want to see more, make sure you drop a like on this, because that really helps me out. And consider subscribing too so you don't miss any more of the content here, and I will catch you all in the next one.